My name is Mason Mathieu. I'm a 19-year-old university student from Port Coquitlam, British Columbia, and I'm tired. I'm tired of looking out my window every day and seeing a systematic battle being waged against young people in this country. From Doug Ford's OSAP cuts in Ontario, to Houston's government in Nova Scotia taking away educational support for marginalized communities, to Carney's disastrous cuts to services youth rely on, we are tired. We are tired of this moment of austerity we find ourselves in and the lack of real conversation about our priorities. J'ai 19 ans et je suis fatigué. Fatigué de voir la lutte systématique contre nos jeunes dans ce pays. Fatigué de voir des gouvernements qui ne pensent pas lorsqu'ils prennent leurs décisions. We're working hard, but rent is too high. We are told to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps, but they seem to be broken. Our economy is made for people like Galen Weston and Jim Pattison, and it's not made for everyday people, and that needs to change. Les jeunes veulent mieux. Un avenir où la prospérité est partagée partout. Où nous pouvons vivre en harmonie avec la terre, où il y a beaucoup de bons emplois et où le coût de la vie est abordable. Et soyons clairs, ni M. Carney ni M. Poilievre nous offrent cet avenir. Young people want better, a future with prosperity for everyone, not just a few. We want real, systemic, and forward-thinking change now. And that's what drew me into Tony McQuail's bid for leader. He's not just running a campaign, but is leading a paradigm shift for our party and country. As a farmer, he sees the world from a different perspective. It's a different perspective than an elite who works in a high-rise in downtown Vancouver or Toronto. He works with soil every day and feels the impact of ecological collapse and neoliberalism. He understands what Canadians are going through and has a plan to actually address it. Tony has created a policy framework that resonates with people, especially young people. He calls them the 4 R's: representation, regeneration, redistribution, and redesign. Tony a une plateforme transformative pour tout le Canada qui inclut les jeunes. Il les appelle les 4 R. His first R, representation, talks about the need for proportional representation now. His second R, regeneration, is about rebuilding our connection to Mother Nature. Tony sees the nexus that exists between taking care of our planet and building a local economy that works for everyone, including long-lasting jobs for young people at a time we're seeing the highest youth unemployment rate in the longest time I can remember. His third R, redistribution, is about making Canada's wealthiest pay their fair share. As leader, he'll boldly call for a wealth tax to help pay for social programs that young Canadians deserve, such as universal pharmacare and social housing. La redistribution est essentielle parce que nous méritions un avenir où la prospérité est répartie dans tout notre pays. Et Tony le sait. His fourth R, redesign, connects the 3 previous R's together. It calls for a radical change in the way that our economy operates, to rebuild the relationships with each other and the land that liberals and conservatives have destroyed for the entirety of our nation's history. This is the radical change I was looking for in a leadership candidate and what young people are looking for across this country. This is why I support Tony McQuail. Rank Tony McQuail number 1 for the sake of my future and for the future of young Canadians across this country. Classez Tony McQuail numéro 1. Merci à tous. Thank you, everyone.
I was born in Pennsylvania. My mother had been a social worker and my father was an accountant. My parents were Quakers, and I was raised to follow the Quaker testimonies of simplicity, peace, integrity, community, equality, and stewardship. I opposed the war in Vietnam, and when I was 16, I provided draft counseling at our local Quaker meeting house. I realized how corrupt and corrupting the U.S. draft was. It and the U.S. tax system fueled the Vietnam War and too damn many since. When I turned 18, I refused to cooperate with the draft. In 1971, age 18, I immigrated to Canada. I worked as a hired hand on a dairy farm. In the summer of '72, I hitchhiked across Canada looking for farmland. In 1973, I bought a rundown farm in Huron County. Fran and I were married on the farm in 1975. The land had been cash cropped and stripped of organic matter, but in 1976, we started farming regeneratively. When we gave to the land gave to us. In 1980, I became a New Democrat. At the time, Ed Broadbent was the only politician promoting realistic solutions like low interest rates and renewable energy. I ran for Parliament in 1980 and 4 other times federally. My message has remained the same. We need to change the way we treat each other and the planet. Fast forward to 2025. I've spent the last 45 years pushing for climate action, electoral reform, and an end to militarism. In that time, I've seen Canada and the world descend into climate catastrophe, American imperialism, and transnational oligarchy. In June, I decided that if change was going to come, it had to grow from the ground up. Our campaign started small. An email to my personal contacts, a Zoom meeting with some passionate volunteers from across the country. We had a goal, 4 R's: representation, regeneration, redistribution, and redesign. We had a vision of a Canada that works for the people and the planet. Our movement started catching on. Canadians needed hope, and they found it in our message. We had lows.
Do not donate to the Tony McQuail campaign now.
And highs.
I want to be Prime Minister because I want to work with these people on the ideas they have to move this country forward.
Through cooperation and collaboration, we built community and demonstrated what it means to be New Democrats. We came from humble beginnings, but again and again showed that hope, integrity, and compassion mean far more than profile. Thanks to incredible volunteers, generous donors, and support from Team Tennille and the other candidates, we are on the ballot. From Montreal to Vancouver, our message has remained the same. It's not too late to change the way we treat each other and the planet.
I'm going left.
There are many reasons why I'm Tony's campaign manager, such as the fact that as a New Democrat, I have a tendency to root for the underdog. And Tony's an underdog who's unapologetically himself and refuses to pretend to be anything else other than who he is. And that's how our party ought to be. But above all the reasons, one stands out due to its increasing relevance as fascism spreads its tendrils across our continent and throughout the globe. We must ask questions other than how do we defend our borders and our economy? We must also ask, how do we defend our democracy? Because fascism taking over Canada does not necessarily look like an invasion of American troops on our soil or our cities being bombed, but instead an invasion of fascist and authoritarian tactics being co-opted by Canadian politicians. Proportional representation is essential to protect our democracy, but we must not stop there. Before our eyes, we are seeing our democracy federally and provincially erode, such as the $1 per vote subsidy that was removed by the Harper government in 2015, thereby requiring all federal parties to rely 100% on donors to survive. In Alberta, Danielle Smith is sending Albertans to the polls for 9 referendum questions, one of which decides whether voters will need to bring a birth certificate or a passport to the polls. In Ontario, Doug Ford has raised fundraising limits so his wealthy donors can give him more money, and he has scrapped fixed election dates altogether. And Doug's buddy, Mark Carney, seeks to acquire a phony backroom deal majority through any opposition MP that wants to hop over the aisle. In a minority government situation, or in any situation, proportional representation must be our top priority. But I'll say this again, we must not stop there. We must ensure that all Canadians can and do vote. We must fight back against every erosion of our democratic rights. And we must bring back the $1 per vote subsidy. As we've seen, south of the border, democratic backsliding starts very slowly in the form of small erosions over time. But as we all know, they add up to something terrible eventually. Without a healthy democracy, we will not have universal health care for much longer, nor will we ever have affordability, nor will we have a strong labour movement, nor any working-class leaders left in Parliament. And I say this all, not to depress you, I promise, but to motivate you. The goal shouldn't be just proportional representation. It should also be healing the wounds of democratic erosion and preventing any further backsliding. That'll take a lot of work. Work that I know we're all very capable of. Whether you're a New Democrat living in Saskatchewan, a Liberal in Alberta, a Conservative in downtown Winnipeg, a Green in Thunder Bay, or a member of the Bloc in Westmount, your vote should count. A Canada with a vibrant democracy where the 99% get 99% of the vote and the 1% get 1% of the vote, instead of our current Canada where democracy is under attack. All of this is a beautiful dream, but it cannot be just a dream. So we must task ourselves, not just as New Democrats, but as concerned citizens, to ensure that a healthy democracy is instead our future. So without further ado, I am incredibly proud and honored to invite my friend Tony McQuail to the stage.
Optimism's better than despair. So let us be loving. Let us be hopeful, friends. My friends, it is good to be with you here in Winnipeg and digitally across the country. We gather today on Treaty 1 territory, the traditional homeland of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and the Dene peoples, and the Métis Nation. I want to say plainly that a party serious about redistribution and regeneration cannot treat this acknowledgement as a formality. The land beneath our feet is the first and most enduring reminder that there is work still to be done. We stand on the shoulders of those who've come before us: J.S. Woodsworth, Agnes McPhail, Tommy Douglas, and the folks who built the Cooperative Commonwealth Federation and the New Democratic Party. Je suis devenu néo-démocrate à cause des New Democrats que j'ai rencontrés dans ma communauté et à cause de Ed Broadbent. Today, we are in a struggle for all life on this planet. Corporate capitalist consumerism is shredding the fabric of existence. War is its inevitable outcome. I have spent my entire life under the threat of mutually assured destruction. Military spending has diverted trillions from addressing human needs while making the world less safe for people and the planet. I wonder what the world would be like if we had tried mutually assured success and survival. Yeah, wouldn't that have been interesting? Military spending creates scarcity in the face of abundance. It means not investing in healthcare, education, housing, transportation. It means not investing in the transition to a green and just society. Earth's greatest enemy is war. J.S. Woodsworth warned us plainly, war settles nothing. The victor wins only by adopting the same tactics he condemns in his enemy, and his conclusion should stop us cold. Quote, "The common people of the country gain nothing by slaughtering the common people of any other country, end quote. With the rise of fascism south of the border, we need a nonviolent national defense strategy and program. It is delusional to think that Canada will militarily stop the United States by increasing military spending. It will only tie us tighter to the U.S. military. We need to train Canadians in the techniques of unarmed civilian defense. It is more effective than military resistance. It is also more useful for responding to climate emergencies like floods, wildfires, ice storms, and tornadoes. It is a much wiser investment than military spending. As a young farmer, I watched the Liberals and Conservatives maintain and defend a brutal high interest rate policy, supposedly to fight inflation. But the inflation was caused by massive oil price increases. High interest only worsened it. Homeowners, farmers, and small businesses were now getting robbed on their mortgages as well as at the gas pumps. The Liberals and Conservatives were enriching the banks and the wealthy at the expense of the people. Amen. And look to the current situation closely. Ed Broadbent and the NDP were the only party addressing the root cause of the problem and calling for investment in conservation, efficiency, and renewable energy. If our electoral system had been proportional in 1980, the NDP, led by Ed Broadbent, would have held the balance of power, and I believe we could have begun the transition to a greener and more progressive society. Instead, the Liberals got a phony majority government, and we are still addicted to oil and concentrating wealth in fewer and fewer hands. It was Tommy Douglas who showed us what is possible when a government decides to act. In 1939, Canada mobilized an entire economy for war. 1 million people in uniform, over 100 crown corporations, guaranteed prices for farmers and fishermen, the third largest merchant navy in the world, and all of it without borrowing a single dollar outside Canada, using the Bank of Canada for what it could do. His message was simple. If we could do all of that to defeat Nazi tyranny, we can mobilize those same resources to defeat poverty, unemployment, and social injustice. It is in that same spirit that our campaign has stressed 4 Rs: representation, regeneration, redistribution, and redesign. They need to be our focus to build a Canada that works for people and the planet. Our choices as individuals and as governments create the future we will share. We need to unite not just New Democrats, but a broad, green, progressive coalition with a vision of a hopeful future. That's why we put forward a holistic goal for Canada. It says, quote, "We seek a quality of life where we meet the basic needs for water, food, shelter, clothing, healthcare, and education for every Canadian resident, where everyone has access to fresh air, clean water, and healthy green space. Everyone has time and energy for themselves, their families, their friends, and their occupation. Everyone has an opportunity to contribute and be involved in their community. We envision a Canada that is caring and compassionate, both for its residents at home and to the broader world community. We make decisions carefully, considering their impact on the planet, the people, and the economy. The earth is healing, communities are thriving, and conflict at home and abroad is decreasing. That is our vision for a future that works for people and the planet." My friends, we need to work together with others within and beyond Canada to address obscene wealth concentration and environmental destruction. But we also need to work together within our party. We've had 5 teams in this race and 2 candidates excluded by our opaque vetting process. All have worked hard for 6 months. That's a long time and a huge commitment of effort and energy. I have been so impressed with each of the candidates and their campaign teams. I want to say to Team Tony, you've given so much of yourselves to bring our campaign to this finish line, and I feel both honored and humbled by that. I thank you. But to all our teams, to all the teams, if you do not win tomorrow, grieve that loss, shed some tears, and then think about how we can come together to bring all that talent and energy into a bigger, broader team that can truly challenge the 1%'s control of Canadian politics, our economy, and our society. My friends, it's not too late to build a better world, but we need bold, brave, and beautiful alternatives to a world being burned and blown apart by greed coupled with economic arrogance and ecological ignorance. It's time for a green progressive movement. It's time for representation, regeneration, redistribution, and redesign. Merci pour votre appui pour amener ces idées sur la scène nationale. Thank you for your shared commitment as New Democrats to building that better world together. Thank you all.